In the hour when the King Messiah comes, he shall stand on the roof of the temple and proclaim that the time of deliverance has come. Those who believe and are faithful to God will rejoice in the light that will rise upon them. As it is written, arise, shine, for thy light is come. Only take courage and be careful to observe all things written in the law of Moses. And turn not aside from them, neither to the right hand nor to the left. Take care only of this, in all diligence, that thou love the Lord thy God. Amen. Amen.
Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe.
May your name be blessed among men, as it is blessed in the immensity of the heavens. Blessed art thou, O God, Lord of the universe, who consecrated the Sabbath and all of Israel's celebrations. Amen. May the Lord bless and preserve you. May he let his face shine upon you. May the Lord lift up his countenance and give you peace.
Amen. Come to my house, Rabbi, to supper. I promised my children.
Thank you. Joseph. Joseph, there's something I want to talk to you about. It's very important. See, if you just come with me, we can talk about it together.
The scriptures are quite clear.
Yes.
Jacob, wait for me! Rabbi?
Yes. David, tell your mother and father you can come and see me tomorrow.
Once you've mastered the craft, you will be free. Always remember, only those who know how to use their hands are free. Only they are not dependent on anyone else.
Joseph, could we please?
Anna. I shall leave you to work on your own for a minute.
Yes. No, that's the way you should do it.
Remember, don't force the wood. Treat it gently.
Yes, of course. Now you must take it flat. That's very important.
Anna, I intended to find you when we finish work, but I'll come with you now.
You know that my husband
God rest him, best of men.
was very fond of you. He would have come to you himself, but in the end, he could hardly speak. Poor man. What sleep he could get was disturbed by dreams about his daughter. Alone, without a brother, no man in the house, and now I can't sleep. And when I die, as I must soon...
Why do you say that?
I have a feeling that I will not live much longer.
You have years ahead of you, and you can sleep soundly tonight. It's a great change in a man's life. But I also know a single man is only half a person. As for the contract and the date of the wedding, I leave all that to you and the rabbi.
Thank you, Joseph. You won't regret it. Mary's a good girl. She'll make you a beautiful wife. Shall we sign the contract the first day of the full moon? And then, after a year's betrothal, celebrate the wedding in the season of the harvest. When the earth yields up its fruit and every heart rejoices. With luck, I may live to see it.
Do not be afraid. Yes, here she is.
Beautiful.
May this betrothal, one to the other, Joseph, Mary, be blessed and sanctified according to the law of Moses and of Israel.
Who are you? Who are you? How can that be? No man has ever touched me. Behold, the handmaiden of the Lord. May it be done unto me according to your word.
Mary, who are you talking to?
There's news of Elizabeth.
My cousin, Elizabeth? What news?
She's going to have a son in 3 months' time. She conceived the child 6 months ago. On the 19th day of Tishri.
But Elizabeth was always barren. Now she's far too old. What nonsense is this, child?
Oh, but it's true. She's going to have a son. And I must go and visit her.
I came to these parts of the empire, I've been wondering at the countless religious beliefs of these nations. The Egyptians, the Syrians, King Herod. To revert to the Jews, I wonder, is it because, as you say, they identify future with past, that they have so many prophets?
Oh, the prophets, it's the sun which breeds them. Many of these are harmless. They preach religion, we let them go, but some of them preach rebellion because it is written. Altogether, literacy has had a disastrous effect in this country, and those we eliminate. Rome has taught us that although this may be indifferent theology, it is very good government.
Majesty, I've heard the word Messiah. What exactly is a Messiah?
Oh, even you have heard that awful word, Proculus.
Is he a prophet, or is he something even...
Well, Rome, even Rome cannot influence men's dreams. And the Messiah is a bad dream disguised as a solution to every problem. It's a leveler of scores, a rewarder of righteousness, a scourge for the wrongdoer. It is the bringer of everlasting peace.
That is, I understand from what you have said, a Messiah is worse than a prophet from the Roman point of view.
Oh, from the Jewish viewpoint, too. Only you try telling that to the Jews. No, don't. It's much wiser not to consult them. Just when a Messiah appears, crush it underfoot like a young scorpion. Now you can tell great Augustus that he can rest in peace in Rome. There will be no messiahs, true or false, in Palestine while I am alive.
Come, Mary. We'll be comfortable.
Here we go. May the Lord keep us safe on our journey.
God bless you, child.
Esther, take us to my sister in Bethany and tell her I'll be with her for Passover.
All right, yes, I will.
And go safely on your journey.
Mary, I've been longing to see you. Mary. So it is true. How did you know? Who told you? A messenger from God. And he told me another thing. A thing even more wonderful. You're blessed among women, and blessed shall be the fruit of your womb. I too am highly favored, that the mother of the chosen should come to me. From the moment your greeting reached my ears, the child in my womb leapt for joy. My soul doth magnify the Lord, and my spirit hath rejoiced in God my Saviour, for he has looked kindly upon the most humble of his handmaidens, and he has told me that all generations shall call me blessed. He who is mighty has done unto me a mighty thing.
Is it true about Mary's dream?
Oh, yes, it's true. News came from Ain Karim. Elizabeth is going to have a child.
Even though she's past the age?
Oh, yes, and she must be nearly 50.
Zacharias? Yes, that's the one. She's Mary's cousin.
It can't be true.
Well, Joseph, are we going to get an invitation to your wedding?
Plenty of time for that, Jotham. The contract's only just been signed.
Only just betrothed and his beloved's left him already. Just like her, she's always been a bit strange, not like the others. That's something you'll have to learn to live with. But seriously, Joseph, Mary is remarkable. We all think so. A remarkable girl.
Give him to me, Elizabeth.
Blessed be thou, our Lord, King of the universe, who has blessed us with your commandments and ordained us to initiate our sons in the covenant of our father Abraham.
Amen. As this child enters the covenant, so may he enter into the study of the Torah, into marriage, and into good deeds. Amen.
This is the seal in flesh of the covenant between the Lord and his people. What is the name of the child?
His name shall be John. When you get back to Nazareth, tell Joseph what you have seen and heard, what you know. The Lord God gives life where no life is possible. And one life shall be the Son of God, and the other shall be his prophet. Go. Tell all this to Joseph. But will he believe me? Will he believe me? God will open his heart.
That's too much for any man to believe.
But you're not any man. You too are chosen.
I'm sick at heart. You are to be my wife. But now the vow has to be broken. I swear, I've never been with her.
What I said about Elizabeth was true.
Don't worry. I believe in you. God's will be done.
Now you're sure?
She told me herself.
Women are the loveliest and brightest of God's creations. Thank you, O Lord, that you made me a man.
Please, I need your advice.
Oh, what advice can I give?
There's a law.
Rabbi? May I?
Hey, come on, come on, off you go. Come on, let's play some of those. That's it.
I know where we go.
It is written in the law, if in the time of betrothal a woman sins with any other man, let them both be taken beyond the gates of the town and stoned to death, that the abomination may be crushed out of the heart of Israel. Should a man marry a woman and she find no favor in his eyes, because he has found in her the stain of uncleanliness, let him write a bill of repudiation and deliver it into her hands.
This law applies even if I haven't taken Mary into my house?
Yes. Yes, all that is needed is for a bill to be written and delivered in the presence of 2 witnesses.
No. If I do that, I will expose her shame. I can't. I'll send her away if I must. But in secret.
God knoweth the secret of the heart. Trust in him and accept. Accept it, Joseph. The Lord will not abandon you.
Thank you.
Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife. It is by the Holy Spirit that she has conceived. She will bear a son, and you shall give him the name Jesus, the Savior.
Oh,
With this ring,
With this ring,
be thou consecrated unto me,
be thou consecrated unto me,
according to the law of Moses and of Israel.
according to the law of Moses and of Israel.
May the Lord bless and preserve you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you. May the Lord lift up his countenance towards you and give you peace.
Would you like some grapes or some dates? I picked them myself from the orchard.
No, I've got one.
Bless.
Here, Joseph.
Your Majesty, we have always treated your country, as far as possible, as a free and independent nation. But the governor of Syria has decided to include Palestine in a census. In that event...
A census in my territories? In Galilee, Judea, Ethiopia? Whatever your motives for this, they'll be misunderstood. People will be resentful, suspicious, perhaps even hostile.
As consul, I am here merely to carry out instructions.
My dear consul, there seems to be one aspect of the problem of which either Rome or you are entirely ignorant, and I cannot believe it to be Rome. The methods which you propose for your census are contrary to our tradition.
Permit me, Your Majesty. I do not think that Marcus Naso is aware of the tradition Your Majesty refers to. For such official purposes as the taking of a census, every person living in these territories considers himself as belonging not to the place where he actually lives, but to the place of origin of his family group, his tribe. May I say tribe?
You may say tribe.
A census therefore means the movement of every person back to what he considers to be his native township, ancestral capital, to dignify a place which is sometimes no more than a stinking dunghill.
You choose your phrases most exquisitely, Caius Gracchus.
So, if the census were conducted according to local tradition, you think your subjects would accept it more readily?
Oh, I see. Now we're supposed to count ourselves under your supervision. I hope starting with the king.
That is not
No, seriously, have you any idea what this would entail? The shifting of entire populations? The disruption of trade?
The divine Augustus is counting on your understanding, Your Majesty. I hope I shall not have to inform him of any lack of cooperation.
Thank the divine Augustus for his unswerving benevolence.
Census. It's a trick to increase the taxes. And we all know where the money ends up. In Rome. But why should it? What does Rome give us?
That's not the point. The Romans want to count us. How many we are. Where we are. They want us to know that they are our rulers. But we should have no earthly ruler. No rule but the Lord. No king but God.
It's not for you to remind us of the scriptures. Be quiet and go home. I apologize for my son. He's too young to understand.
What are you doing to the faith of our fathers? All over Galilee, there are thousands of Jews preparing for what you're always talking about in there, the coming of the king who will liberate us.
come.
But what are you doing about it? Nothing! We accept the violence of the Romans
Come
like
home
sheep.
with me.
We are not worthy of the king
Stop
to come.
that.
The king to come will not bring violence and bloodshed.
Huh?
It is written, he himself is pure from sin. God shall cause him to be mighty through the spirit of holiness, and wise through the counsel of understanding.
Now come home. Stay there till you learn more respect for your elders.
Anna, I must go to Bethlehem. It's my native town. And Mary must come with me.
Why?
For the census. So even Augustus obeys God.
The prophecy?
Yes, the prophecy. For thou, O Bethlehem, art in no wise the least of cities. For from thee shall come forth a shepherd of my people, Israel.
If only I could come with you. If only Joseph, you'll need help when he's born.
Don't be troubled, Anna. He will be well cared for. Everything will be done as God ordered.
They seem to be kings, Lord Melchior, from different lands.
I told you we could not have been the only ones to see the sign.
Come in peace. Where are you bound?
Wherever I am led, I follow that star.
I'm sure that Herod keeps a strict watch on his frontiers. He must know that we have crossed them. I would have to tell him, as Balthazar has said, that I follow that star wherever it leads.
But what will we find? All my calculations show that there was to be a new heavenly creature, a new star. It was even precise as to place and time. So I made up my mind to set forth and seek what they would unfold.
You did not know?
Only that it would be something wonderful. The stars are not distant and aloof, cut off from the lives of men. The rising of a new star entails an immense labor in the heavens that always has its counterpart on earth. The universe is about to bring forth a prodigy beyond our understanding.
Your star, my brother Balthazar, is indeed a sign of wonder. The divine Zoroaster says the next prophet will show himself in a foreign land, and the truth he will reveal will be at first only for his own people.
But there is only one truth.
And only one God. All the rest are vain, or parts of him.
The people of Israel know this. Many of their wise men have been close to him. And their writings confirm my calculations. A king is about to be born.
A king?
A king who will free us from the evils of this world.
Where will he be born?
The sacred writings point to a small town in Judea called Bethlehem Ephrata.
Rest there. I'll find a place. Excuse me, may I speak with you?
What do you want?
I desperately need a place for tonight.
Huh?
My wife is near her time.
No, I can't help you. I already have too many people.
But I've got...
Can't you see? Come on! Close the door! How many times must I tell you the gate should be shut?
Nothing. But there must be another place. I'll try again. How do you feel? I don't like leaving you alone. Do you think you could walk a little further? Hold on to me.
Oh, no. No.
Stay there. Stay there.
No.
God will help us.
Listen, it's no use trailing around Bethlehem anymore. Every inn is full up. None of them are going to take your wife in like that. Come, I'll show you. Take your donkey. That's right. Now do what I tell you. If you go through that gate over there, just outside the walls, on the road to Jerusalem, you'll come to some... Careful. You'll come to some stables. Some caves. It's not much, I know. But it'll be warm and dry and plenty of fresh straw. Look, they're down there. Can you see? Right. Now then, if I can manage it, I'll come back later and help. Oh, and if anyone tries to throw you out, just say that Abigail sent you. Abigail. Remember the name?
We'll remember. Thank you.
Beautiful child. Come and put him there in the manger and see if there's some fresh straw that'll keep him warm. I'll take care of her, poor girl. Now then, have you some water? Give it to me. Come, that's it. Who's that? What do you want? This is no place for you. Get out! Get out, you hear me? Off! Off with you! Can't you see? Poor girl just had a child.
That's why we've come. We were told to.
Told? By who?
We were out there in the fields. This man came to us from nowhere.
An angel, shepherds, he said. They say that Israel is a scattered flock that lacks a shepherd.
And then he said, tonight the shepherd is born. It is for you that he comes, he said. For the poor.
That's why you came here?
Yes. The man said... He said...
The man said, today, in the city of David, a Savior has been born for you. Glory to God in the highest, he said.
And peace on earth for those whom he loves.
Come.
They cross my border, yet not one of them sends a greeting. Are they armed?
Not heavily, Your Majesty. Our spies say they're equipped to travel fast and far.
But they were not heading here. If not here, where?
It was Bethlehem, Your Majesty. They followed a star. The new star.
Bethlehem? O thou Bethlehem Ephrata, thou art the smallest... What was that phrase again?
Thou, Bethlehem Ephrata, art a little one amongst the thousands of Judah. Out of thee he shall come forth unto me, who is to be the ruler in Israel. And his going forth is from the beginning, from the days of eternity.
A ruler in Israel? Have those travelers watched all the time? And bring me the names of all newborn children in Bethlehem.
Rise clothed in light. Your light has come, and the glory of the Lord shines over you. For though darkness covers the earth, and dark night the nations, the Lord shall shine upon you.
Come. I promise. Everything will be done the way we agreed. Don't worry. I promise. Come.
Moshe.
And the Lord said to Abraham, keep my alliance and circumcise each child born unto Israel on the 8th day of his life. Amen. This is the seal in flesh of the covenant between the Lord and his people. And the child shall be called
His name shall be Jesus.
And the nations of the world shall march towards...
Where is he? Now I can die contented, Lord, according to thy word. I am Simeon, an old man who has waited long to see his salvation. And now my eyes have seen the child who will bring the salvation thou hast prepared before all people, a light of revelation to the Gentiles, and the glory of thy people, Israel. And a sword shall pierce your heart.
Next. What is your name?
Japhet Bar Elias.
Uh-huh. Where from?
Ashkelon.
Don't forget to take your token.
You?
One for each of the family. What's your name?
Abdai Abdi.
How many children?
7. This is the youngest.
How old is she?
3.
Move on. And here are 7 tokens.
My husband could not come. He's ill. What can I do?
I'll give you one for him too if you explain.
Are these tokens?
It's a coin they give to prove that you've registered.
Yeah, they're little tokens with the Emperor's head on.
How many in the family? Over there.
Eat the
Make
food.
your mark. Special orders.
We want the names of all the newborn.
Newborn?
Note their names, the newborn.
What did he say?
He wants the names of all the newborn.
Why do they want to know about the newborn?
No point in arguing with them. You just do what you're told.
Don't be afraid. Where is the child? We have come a long way to greet him.
This is the King of Israel, who will take away the sins of the world.
I did not know what we were to find. And coming here, a stable. I thought my brothers were mistaken. But now I see the justice of it. There could be no other place.
Not in glory, but in humility.
Accept these poor tokens of our homage. Incense to perfume the halls of the mighty.
Gold for kingly rule.
Myrrh, the most precious herb of the East, and the most bitter.
And now, a word of warning. Leave here as soon as you can.
Herod's soldiers have followed us, hoping we'll lead them to you. He knows of this birth. He'll seek out the child to kill him.
Go into Egypt. It may not be for long. Herod's days are numbered.
Those travelers crossed my frontier again.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Yes, Your Majesty. But the child must still be here. Kill every male child up to 1 year old. 2 years old. Better the innocent should die than that the guilty should escape.
Guilty? Your Majesty, a child?
Guilty in the womb! Guilty in the stars! I'll bring down their stars! I'll snuff them out in blood! This is my world! I will not share it with an infant! There's no room for two kings here, like a newborn scorpion underfoot! You know the mark of a real king? Courage! Even in the face of Jewish prophecy, bits of old parchment, old blind men! Ha! Now go to Bethlehem and make history! Kill!
But Your Majesty!
Kill! Kill them all! Kill! Kill them all!
Thus is fulfilled that which was spoken by the prophet Jeremiah. In Ramah was there a voice heard, lamentation, weeping, and great mourning. Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted because they were no more.
Taken in the midst of his sins, struck down by the Lord, to whom the power and pride of kings are as nothing, who cannot defy God, the mighty God, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Yet the yoke of tyranny will not be lifted from us. Rome will choose a king from among his sons, and her grip will become stronger. But you should lift up your hearts, for the Eternal will not abandon us. He will send us a deliverer. And his dominion is the everlasting dominion that shall not pass away. And his kingdom, that which shall not be destroyed.
Look, do you see? Nazareth. That's where we live.
Hear, O Israel. The Eternal our God, the Eternal is one. Blessed be the name of the glory of the kingdom forever and ever. And thou shalt love the Eternal thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee shall be in thine heart. Amen.
Amen.
A man skillful in his work will stand before kings. And our work, like every other, has a second meaning in God's eyes. We use this to make a straight line on the wood before we cut it. And as we use a ruler to make straight lines, God gave us rules to keep our lives straight.
God gives the wood. And man, with his skill and invention that God gave him, is always finding new uses. Sometimes wonderful uses for it. A wheel? A plow? A ladder? They all look simple, but they are from God. And a ladder can sometimes reach from earth to heaven.
Joseph! Joseph, didn't you say the plow would be ready?
Coming! Keep on with your work.
What is this? Well, look at it. What have you done? This is not how I asked you to make it. Oh, no, it is not the same as before. It was supposed to be ready days ago, and now it is not Look at the lake. I am the one who said this. It will not do. The balance is wrong.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Bless God, who has given us the Torah. The Lord God will go before you. Be strong and of good courage. Fear not, nor be afraid, for the Lord thy God will go with you. He will not fail you or forsake you.
Amen.
Now you're truly a man.
Jesus Bar Joseph, as a new adult member of our community, you have exercised your right to read and comment upon the scriptures. That is your heritage. It is the heritage of the children of Israel. But remember that God's word is spoken in times of light and in times of darkness and persecution. May you always read from the law in a time of joy.
Amen. May God protect you.
May God bring blessings on the boy.
The Roman soldiers are here.
The Romans!
Jewish bread, better than nothing.
this?
Quartermaster, an army must eat, and it's a long way from Damascus to Jerusalem.
Yeah, but Galilee isn't Roman territory.
The whole world is Roman territory.
Hey, put your sword back. Ignore them. You'll meet with plenty of those in Jerusalem. They're called zealots. They're mad religious fanatics. You there! Remember this. The Roman army is not a pack of bandits, and we'll deal with the likes of you in our own good time. Come!
May the curse of God fall upon these murderers! How long must we wait, oh Lord, for you to help us?
God has abandoned us.
How long? How long?
This is a lamb with no mark, without blemish.
Solomon said, after he built the temple, standing in front of the altar of the Lord, he spread out his hands and said, "Can God indeed dwell with his creatures on earth? Heaven itself, the highest heaven cannot contain thee. How much less this house that I have built? Yet attend to the prayer and supplication of thy servant, O Lord, that thine eyes may always be upon this house, day and night, this place of which thou didst say, it shall receive my name."
Son, we've been looking for you everywhere.
Why were you looking for me everywhere? Did you not know you would have found me in my father's house?
How long, O Lord? I grow old. What have I promised to the prophets? Where are they? Speak tenderly to Jerusalem and tell her that her time of bondage has ended, that her penalty is paid, salvation is at hand, to be shouted from the mountaintops. Comfort ye. Comfort, God, comfort. The teaching is clear. Behold, I send my messenger, and he will clear the way before me. A messenger before me. A messenger. And the Lord will suddenly come to his temple, and the messenger of the covenant, behold, is here.
The people of Galilee thought that they had seen the depths of iniquity when their land was ruled by Herod, the man of blood. Yet now his son and heir, Herod Antipas, the new prince of Galilee, strives to outdo his father's crimes. For he follows his lusts and breaks faith with God. He dares to defy the law of Moses by entering into unholy marriage with the wife of his brother. If we permit this, all of us will suffer for his sins.
Your Majesty, he's here, the Baptist.
He's here. Well, what? Well, leave him alone.
On march again! Continue!
Oh, what harm can he do? He's been out there for years in the desert, living on locusts and prayers. He doesn't incite the people to rebellion. He asks nothing for himself. All he wants is to remain poor and naked. He would very much like everybody else to do the same. Oh, no. When the wedding festivities are over, I'll have him preach at the palace. You can hear him with your own ears. He's a very remarkable man.
I'm glad there is somebody remarkable in Judea.
Herod! Herod! The tablets of the law speak plainly. You may marry the wife of your brother when your brother is dead, but not while he lives. This woman, Herodias, is the wife of your brother Philip, and Philip lives, tetrarch in Iturea. It is written, I have seen thine adulteries and thine abominations. Woe unto them! Wilt thou not be made clean? Send back this woman to your brother. Repent!
How can you allow this slander to continue?
No. We decided to be clement on our wedding day.
I'm not afraid of your power on earth, Herod Antipas. If I do not warn you, you will die in sin, and the Lord will ask me to account for your life.
Quickly, into the palace!
Repent! Repent! The Lord blesses you for the kingdom of heaven. is at hand!
Brothers, we can make use of this man. His attacks on Herod Antipas excite people. He makes them think about Israel.
Don't be too sure about it. Prophets only make men think about God in heaven.
So do we. And if we want to direct people's thoughts, we must use what means we can.
Yes, but we zealots want to see the power of God on earth fighting the Romans. Does John want that?
The time has come. The great and terrible day of the Lord is at hand. Repent and change your lives. Every valley shall be exalted, every mountain and hill laid low. The winding ways shall be straightened, and the rough ways made smooth. God led you back from Babylon to serve him, but you've betrayed him. Now you're warned. Flee! Flee! I am the Lord unchanging, says the Eternal, and you too have not ceased to be sons of Jacob. From the days of your forefathers you have been wayward and have not kept my laws. If you will return to me, I will return to you, says the Lord. Do not think you will be saved by your rituals, by going to the temple. It is not sacrifices the Lord demands. Bring no more vain offerings, saith the Lord. I delight not in the blood of bullocks and of lambs. The sacrifice God demands is a repentant heart.
What do we do then to be saved?
Change your hearts. Take the right way. The Lord saith, my ways are not your ways.
Why speak as though none of us know the way to salvation? We know the law as well as you, and we try to obey it.
We are the sons of Abraham. We have always kept the law.
To those of you that deem themselves just and pious, I say that you must bring the fruits of repentance. Do not content yourself with saying, Abraham was our father, and that is enough to save us. The Lord could take any one of these stones and turn it into a son of Abraham.
Pharisees, we know you. Go back to Jerusalem.
Yes, go back to Jerusalem. He's right. John! John! Forgive me!
Can you baptize me? I have sinned!
You are the prophet! Sent to us by God!
I baptize you with water. Cleanse me, John, that you may be purified and ready for the coming of the kingdom. Open up your hearts to God.
I'm just a sinner.
Receive this cleansing life.
Save me, John! I have sinned!
Have mercy on me, I repent! I am a sinner!
Let this water wash away your sins.
Please, John! Have mercy!
Disgrace of Israel! Go back to your husband! Go back!
John will pay for it. You'll pay for it.
Monday they stone me to death. Is that what you want?
Oh, my
Oh, you're a worm. Oh. Me, aren't you?
No.
Yes, admit it, you are tired of me. can tell by the way you moon over my daughter, our son.
Nonsense.
You like her.
Oh.
She's a child. Beg. Liar!
No!
Coward!
I am not a coward!
Prove it then! Arrest the prophet. I demand that you arrest him.
Demand? Demand? That's a strong word, my heart.
You must remember, John is right.
By the laws of Moses,
We have sinned. Come on, come on. We have sinned. And we go on sinning. And very pleasant it is too.
even if I wanted to, I could do nothing about his reproaches until he once more sets foot in Galilee. And then, my own, my heart, will throw him into prison. Repent, repent, repent. A little repenting won't do him any harm, huh?
After all, he preaches it.
Rabbi, we have been sent by the Sanhedrin of Jerusalem, amongst whom you have many friends and admirers. They understood why you could not come to the temple. It would have been wrong for you to abandon your mission even for a single day. The reason for the invitation was to ask you one simple question. Who are you?
First, I will say who I am not. I am not the Messiah. The Messiah is yet to come.
Then in the name of the living God, who are you?
I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness. Make straight the way of the Lord!
If you are not the Messiah, or the prophet Elijah, by whose authority do you baptize?
By the authority of him who shall come after me, whose shoes I am not worthy to unloose. I baptize you with water, but he will baptize you with the Holy Spirit and with fire. His rod is in his hand, and with it he will cleanse the threshing floor.
And now, some scenes from Jesus of Nazareth, Part 2, which will be presented tomorrow night.
Behold, the Lamb of God.
Your daughter is dead.
Do not weep! The child is not dead. Only sleeping.
Talitha Kumi. Rise, little girl.
I want the head of the palace.